All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you and your loved ones are all doing well, staying safe and healthy from wherever you're joining us. Welcome to the previous panel, focusing on the Williams First community here. And I first would like to congratulate again all the students in the audience on your acceptance to Williams. We're all incredibly excited and hope that you'll join us on campus in the fall. My name is Alejandra Moran. I use she, her pronouns. I serve as an assistant director of admission at Williams, and I'm a graduate of the class of 2017. I was also a first-gen student when I came to Williams, so I'm particularly delighted to be the moderator for this panel. And we've got a great group of people here lined up, all ranging in experiences, length of time at Williams, and their ties to the institution. So as I briefly introduce them, I'll just ask them to wave at you. So you'll be hearing from Assistant Dean of the College, Janice Williams, junior student Izaki Metropolis, sophomore students Emily Kondo and Pedro Rodriguez. And we've got a few topics to cover just to get us started with this panel, but we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So as you listen to the panelists' experiences, how they found community here at Williams through the Williams First program. If you have any questions, please do send them our way using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Those questions will come privately and directly to each of us as panelists, and we'll just leave time at the end to answer them live. But just to get us started, Janice, I would love if you could get us started by telling us a little bit more about yourself, about what it means to be a Williams First student here, and how the administration really supports our students here.
I'm happy to. Thank you so much, Alejandra, and congratulations to the class of 2025. We're so excited that you're here, that you're admitted to Williams College. This is an incredible moment in your time, and so I hope that you're celebrating and giving yourselves high fives for making this incredible journey to this moment. A little bit about myself. I am the assistant dean here at Williams College. I mostly focus on senior students, but I also have a dual purpose, which is to serve and support our Williams First students. Williams First program is something that's near and dear to my heart, as I too am a first gen. I am from New York City, from Queens, and went to a private liberal arts college myself and knew how hard it was to navigate something that my parents didn't or weren't able to guide me through, nor my family. And so having support systems is something that has been integral to my career as a student affairs professional. I came to Williams College after working many years at a large institution, and just started at Williams College this past fall. So I'm relatively new to Williams and the Berkshires, which is this beautiful part of the country. And what has been important for me in getting acclimated to my position is community and building relationships. And that's something that's important to the Williams First program. And just a little bit about the Williams First, it is amazing that Williams College knows how important first gen students are to the student population, to the campus as a whole. It's dedicated to supporting our students who are wanting to navigate this incredible institution with as much support and love as possible. And knowing that there's a community here allows many of our students to feel connections that are lifelong connections. They are working with closely not only amazing faculty, but there are faculty that are here like me who are first gen. There are staff members that are first gen who know what it's like to make sure that the institution is as accessible and available as possible. So community building is important. And one of the things that my role is to connect closely with campus partners. And so there are multiple offices on campus that, or all of our campus offices are open to our students. And some of those offices I have had the pleasure of getting to know during this very brief time that I've been here. Some of them are the Career Center, which had an event earlier today that I hope you attended, as well as the Financial Aid Office, the Fellowships Office, Accessible Education, Study Abroad. So all of these offices and many, many more are very important to making sure that we guide you through not only meeting your dreams, because some of you already have ideas of what you want to do and what you want to major in and what you want to become. And many times those ideas change. And so me, as well as my peers in the dean's office, are available the whole time that you're here at Williams College. Some other ways that we build community is to create the Williams First Board. There are members of the board that you'll be hearing from shortly. They are students ranging from first years up to seniors, coming from multiple backgrounds and places across the country and the world, who want to also partner with the dean's office and serve as liaisons to the first students. So the board, which are 11 of them this year, I have been able to work closely with them to get a pulse and sense of what are some of the things that we can do to bring support systems closer to our students. And they have helped me feel connected and remember what are some of the things that are sometimes hurdles that come up. So having student leaders who are mentors on the board, as well as mentors who will serve us. And so many of you will be joining the community with friends already in place. And then finally, the other thing that I wanted to say is that the campus is, we've all gone through just some transformation during this season of pandemic, but the campus has been open and accessible in many, many fronts. And so my door is open. If any of you have questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm available to talk with you, as well as, I look forward to seeing you during orientation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janice, for that great introduction to the FIRST program. And as you mentioned, we have a great group of student leaders here who are deeply involved with the FIRST board, FIRST orientation. So Izaki, I'd love if you could actually talk a little bit more about your role in the board and how you felt empowered to continue to expand the FIRST programming. And also, I know that you attended previews a couple of years back. So if you want to talk about how that experience was like for you and how that motivated you to become involved.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm so happy to be attending this visual panel, or the virtual panel rather, and congratulations to you all. This is a huge accomplishment. So I'm Izaki, class of 22. I go by he, him, and I'm a major in comparative literature. Just sort of a bit of background. I'm a first-gen transfer student here from low-income single-parent household in Chicago, Illinois. Interesting enough, I'm both the first in my family to drop out of high school and also the first in my family to get a degree. So I have to reconcile those two things. I decided to go back to school after quite a long break, and I attended community college for a couple of years, which honestly was just an amazing and transformative experience. In part, I think because so many people of all ages were attending college for the very first time. So you could essentially go to a class with like an 18-year-old and a 70-year-old at the same time. And what's important is that they were all coming to class with just a plethora of rich perspectives, just by virtue of being, sort of in a new environment. And during my final semester there, I received an offer of admission from Williams, and I was in the middle of a biology class, and I immediately ran out just to call a bunch of people. I called old professors, I called my mom, and I just never expected to get into a school like this. So, about a month later, I attended previews. It was I attended specifically a panel of first-gen students. It was basically this one, but in person. Having and meeting such a vibrant community of firsts, really encountering just a network of resources is really what attracted me to Williams. And I want to say either the day of or the day after I accepted my offer of admission, like just right on the spot. Like I just knew, okay, this school's the real deal. Like I want to be here. And so probably like all of you, I had a million questions going on in my mind, just like how am I going to pay for this? Am I joining a community that like intrinsically values me and like what I bring to the table? Am I going to thrive here as a first-gen student? And there was this sort of mantra that a lot of firsts brought up during that panel meeting, which was "you belong here." That really, really resonated with me because we have this overarching narrative of tenacity and resilience that really connects all of us. And Williams's institution, and moreover, like the people within that institution, really want you here and really value you. And in my experience, Williams was super transparent and communicative from the get-go, and offered me like a really substantial financial aid package. So that like really sort of quelled any sort of concerns I had about coming here. And they were just super accommodating, from like housing to linking me to other first-gen students. We have like a pre-orientation, which is super huge. Fast forward a couple of years, as previously mentioned, I'm a member of the Williams First Board, which of course is in affiliation with the Dean's Office. And we sort of want to expand available resources to any student who comes here, any first student who comes here. We also hold like a variety of events, from movie nights to game nights, and so on, and connections to resources on campus and student offices. But recently, so happy to announce I'm also the creator of a newsletter called First Drafts, which is aimed at sort of being a one-stop shop where you can be in the know of first-related resources, from events on campus to really important news, from scholarships and fellowships information to like daily affirmations and like wholesome memes, to direct links to offices on campus where you can just directly reach out to them, see who's in that office, see if they have sort of first-related resources available. As sort of a final point, just know that if you do end up attending Williams, and we really all hope that you do, you're going to be in a community of really amazing people who really care about you and just want to take care of you in any way they can, from student leaders to your fellow students to the administration. So that's so it's really, really happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Izaki. And you definitely touched on a point where we always try to remind our students that they belong here, that we admitted them for a reason, right? We know that they are they're more than capable of doing the work. So we just hope that we can create the structures that can support them here to make sure that they thrive. But I also, Emily, wanted to ask you as well, if you could talk a little bit more about your own experience coming to Williams, because you are coming from the farthest away out of all of us. And if you could talk a little bit about what being a first has meant to you.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore, and I'm from Hawaii, so very far away. And I think something that really kind of scared me coming to Williams, especially as a first, was what being first meant. For a little bit of a background, I went to a high school where most of my peers, if not all, had parents who were professionals, who had their degrees. And so I didn't really think about what that meant to me in high school. I never had to think about how that might influence my college experience until I really started looking into college and applying. And so I guess in the summer before coming to Williams, I'd fallen in love with Williams, kind of like Izaki during previews. But coming into pre-orientation, I was really scared that someone was going to find out that I wasn't first enough. My mom had earned her associate's degree through online and night classes and had been working full time during that. And so, of course, I didn't really know what coming to Williams was like because she hadn't given me that foundation. But part of me was a little concerned. I was really excited about finding community, but I was worried that somehow I wasn't going to be enough for this community. And that kind of stuck with me throughout the first couple of days of or the first day or so of pre-orientation, until we had this really amazing kind of workshop talking about first identity. It was during this workshop that I learned that there wasn't a single way to be first on campus, that everyone comes to school with different lived experiences and different backgrounds. And just because your experience isn't the same as the person next to you, it doesn't make you any less worthy of being part of the first community or being at Williams as a whole. And I think that was really what transformed my way of thinking about coming to Williams and participating fully within the first community. From there, I was just very excited to embrace the community, and the community embraced me back. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm from Hawaii, so that's quite far away, and I was really concerned about like the lack of support that I thought was going to happen on campus. Before coming to Williams, I knew maybe one person from previews, like well enough to like rely on them. And so I was worried with the time zone difference and not being able to like fully rely on my family back home, how that was all going to work. And I think just allowing yourself to be vulnerable and rely on the dean's office and your peers and your profs is just like amazing and a really important part of building community on campus. And something that I learned from that is just like how much when you give to the community, they give back. And that's kind of why I also decided to join the first sport. And I mean, just from my experience during pre-orientation, I was just so incredibly touched. And so this year I am one of the pre-orientation co-directors. And I really hope to see some of you during pre-orientation this August, and maybe we can have very similar or different conversations then.
Thank you so much, Emily. And Izaki and Emily, you both touched on the importance of building those relationships with other students to make sure that you feel supported. And so, Pedro, I'd love if you could actually talk about this a little bit more and maybe what the pre-orientation program meant to you, how you were able to actually form those connections from the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess first, I just want to say that I don't know why you had me go last after Zaki and Emily, because they were just so amazing. I don't know how to follow up their act. But anyways, I guess I'll just start by introducing myself. I'm Pedro. I'm a sophomore from Rockville, Maryland. I use he and his pronouns, and I'm also part of the first community. I At first, when I was accepted to Williams, I wasn't. I guess wasn't initially going to go to first pre-orientation, but I did the summer humanities and social sciences program before my summer, the summer before my freshman year. And I was one of my RMs was a part of the first committee, and a whole bunch of my friends from the SHSS program are also going to do the first pre-orientation program. So I asked Connor, and he referred me to Dean Ruiz, the old Dean Williams, and she said that no problem. She set everything up. She helped me out. And next thing I knew, in August before first days, I was at Williams' first orientation, and it was a really great event. I met a lot of my best friends there, and I just think that right now, Emily and Izaki, they touched on community, and we don't really know what community means or what it feels like. But I think at Williams' first pre-orientation, that's when I first felt a part of a community, because everyone was just themselves. Everybody wanted to know about everyone's stories, about how they got to Williams, how they learned about Williams. And I think that's an incredibly special thing, and that just speaks to the community at Williams. And I think I should also say that when I say Williams, the community, I don't just mean the students or the older students. I also mean the faculty. I remember being in your shoes earlier on, and hearing about how these students would go to lunch or go to dinner or go get coffee with with the faculty, and I was like, why would you go get coffee with the faculty? They're just there to grade my essays, grade my problem sets, make me cry a little bit. Why would I why would I want to get coffee with them and spend more time than I want to? But I've been able to form really great connections with the faculty, who have been some of my strongest advocates, who have really helped me out, not just through academic struggles, but also through searching for internships or looking at research fellowships or research opportunities. And I think that that just speaks volumes of how like the Williams First community is not just strong within the students, but it's also strong within the faculty. And yeah, I think that's my experience with the Williams First community.
Great, thank you. And that's actually a really good segue to talking about how the FIRST community really isn't just for first generation students. We really want to make sure that we're supporting students for whom coming to Williams is, that they're the first in some way. So they might be the first in their communities to come to an institution like Williams. They might be first generation Americans coming to an institution like Williams. That was actually my case. My father does have a degree from Mexico, but I don't have a relationship with my father, and there was no way that my parents would know about the education system in the US. They don't even know the language. So for me, it was really important to actually be able to be part of this community, even if I didn't fit the traditional first gen definition. And I also want to mention that the support for first students doesn't end when you graduate from Williams. Williams in general has a really robust alumni network in general. And we actually have a Williams First alumni network that focuses specifically on supporting first students post-graduation by connecting them with each other. I recently came into the role of being the co-chair of this alumni network, and we're just really excited to be able to have some networking opportunities, not only for alumni to connect with each other, but also for alumni to connect back to the student body, particularly because the FIRST community started to officially become more structured in 2013, I believe. And so many of our older alumni were first generation or first in some way, but they did not know that. And so we want to make sure that we can talk about our experiences and really connect with each other through that. But also just want to say we're gonna move now to the Q&A. So as you keep having questions, please send them our way. We'll get started with the questions that have already been asked. And we'll just go for the next 12 minutes. So there are a couple of questions actually that have to do with academics and that transition to Williams. And we've touched on that community support. So I'd love if, Izaki, if you could talk a little bit more about what that academic transition was like and what support systems really helped you to make sure you felt supported here.
Yeah, one of the things I really love about Williams is that, you know, the sort of degree path is kind of like a DIY in that there's plenty of structure for you to really, you know, operate within, like a structure that you can lean on. But if you're the type of student that likes to sort of work independently and, you know, sort of choose classes that are personally fulfilling, personally interesting to you, you can definitely do that. And either way, you're gonna have this you know, experience of rigor, and in my case, a tremendous amount of fulfillment. You know, sort of having, you know, less than a year of high school experience and then going directly to community college, that in itself was sort of a huge jump. And coming to Williams, I found that just sort of, you know, not only were the professors super engaging, you know, and they're just professors here just waiting for you to show up to their office. I mean, you know, unlike a lot of research institutions, you know, a lot of professors here don't have like immediate research obligations. And so a lot of, you know, the perks are, you know, you can just go and visit them and talk to them, you know, about a variety of subjects. So what I found was that, you know, within the FIRST community, even like I met a lot of peers that were super supportive, peers that I could help mentor with my sort of college experience. But then I also found, as sort of a more independent student, that I was able to channel that part of me while also having support if I needed it. So
Great, thank you so much. So you've also all touched on feeling supported yourselves academically and as a community. But of course, coming to Williams isn't just an experience for yourselves, right? It's also bringing in your families. So have you found that that Williams has made an effort to really support your families in your transition? And Emily, if you want to tell us what that experience has been like for you.
Yeah, this is actually the perfect question for me because my mom is very involved, about as involved as you can be 5,000 miles away. But she's always been a very involved parent. And I think coming to Williams, she was a little concerned about like, very far away. She doesn't know exactly what's going on. How can she be involved? I found like there's multiple routes through which she stays in touch. First and foremost, of course, it's talking to me every week, giving her an update about my life, telling her like what's up with my classes, like, do I have any friend drama? But beyond that, there's also this really amazing parents Facebook group chat thing that she really likes. It helps her like understand generally like other parents on campus, and it's not a first specific group chat, but there are different people coming through to that chat from different perspectives. And I know the parents dean, or the parent, I'm not sure exactly what his title is, adds a lot of very important updates. He'll forward emails. And I think that's a really great way to have your parents feel like they're part of the experience. I'm not sure exactly if that covered on everything, but.
No, that was excellent. Thank you so much. And Janice, actually, do you want to talk a little bit about what the family component might look like for the pre-orientation program?
Sure. We do have, as Emily had alluded to, Rob White. He works closely with our families, so all families, and works closely with the Williams First community so that our first families are informed, connected, are able to attend as many things that we can offer. We also make sure that our website has information that's multilingual. And so there will be we're doing programming right now, so we don't have all of the information about pre-orientation out yet, but that will come soon. And parents and families and loved ones are a part of that conversation.
Great, thank you. And as we talk a little bit more about the transition to college, of course, students want to know, what that transition might look like over the summer. And I know that for many of them, they are invited to our summer bridge programs like the summer science program and the summer humanities programs. So Pedro, do you actually want to talk about what that program does and how it helped you also transition before coming to Williams?
Yeah, definitely. Anybody, I highly recommend either the summer science program or the summer humanities program because it was really, really great. First, it's a way to like make your new 20 best friends before going into the school year, which is always a plus. You're able to also meet older students, and there's usually other older students outside of your RMs, and they usually sometimes come out and like hang out in we're usually, if you're in the SHSS program, you're in Woodhouse. If you're in the summer science program, you're in AGARD. And so they usually come out and like hang out, like play video games, just talk and chat. And it's just really invaluable like time to just get like more accustomed with the community. And I think the biggest part is that you're here in Williamstown for a whole month. Like you're going to Spring Street, you're eating at Blue Mango, you're going to Pareski, you're tasting the dining hall food, you're going to Sawyer. You could even like stay in the 24-hour room if you want. I don't recommend you to do that. And it's just like, it's also like you're introduced to so many resources like the Career Center or the Deans or the Davis Center. It's just like a really incredible way to really get like centered and just understand like what you're around, what your surroundings are, and who you're going to be surrounded with throughout your time at Williams. And can I just say that I was a SHSS participant, and then last summer I was an SHSS RM, and I know that some really big things are happening in the program going forward, especially coming back to being a in-person environment. So I'm really jealous of everyone who's going to be participating in the programs going forward.
Great, thank you all so much. And unfortunately, we are out of time. So I'm sorry if we didn't get to all of your questions, but I just want to thank our panelists again for taking time out of their Saturday to come and speak to us. And to all the students, congratulations once again. You've earned it. We are so excited that you're part of this community, and welcome to the class of 2025. Right after this, in about 15 minutes, we are going to have student hangouts. So for students, if you'd like to talk some more with current students, please do come to the hangouts. It's just talking to current students. No admission officers will be in the room, so you can just ask them for the scoop on Williams. But thank you all so much again. Please stay safe and healthy, and hope to see you all on campus in the fall. Thanks, everyone.